today's video, you are going to learn how to burn more calories and lean out without losing your glutes. So tip number one is the foundation of all the other tips I'm giving. It's the one you need to understand in order for the rest of them to make sense. And that is to prioritize maintaining your muscle mass. So your glutes are made up of muscle and fat. So that means as you're losing body fat, the size of your glutes are going to decrease, especially if you don't have much muscle built up yet. By building muscle, not only will this allow you to maintain your glutes as you lose body fat, but it will also allow you to burn more calories even at rest. To build muscle, what you're gonna do is track your workouts and aim to get stronger. Now, when I say get stronger, I don't just mean adding weight. So if you don't have access to a gym at the moment, do not worry, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Now, the key to building muscle is to perform your sets close to failure. This means that you wouldn't be able to perform another rep while still maintaining proper technique. If you do a set and you don't come anywhere close to failure, then you're not gonna put the muscle under enough stress for it to adapt and grow. So other than adding weight, you can add reps, increase the range of motion, adjust the tempo, add pauses. There's a large variety of different things that you can do, and I go into a lot more detail about this in my other video that is called 5 ways to maintain your glutes while losing weight at home. So check that out, it'll be linked up here. So in the following tips, I'm going to discuss the most common mistakes people make that don't exactly help you maintain muscle. Tip number 2 is don't overdo it with volume. So volume is the number of sets you perform, and this is usually measured on a single workout or weekly basis. For years, I thought that more volume was better, and I know that so many women fall into this same way of thinking, and a lot of the time we often get scared to do less. I would do these insanely long workouts to the point that people that worked at the gym would comment on how long I was there and would joke that I should bring a tent and just sleep over. And at the time, I thought that was such a great thing, but I was a fool because that's not really a good thing, especially because I wasn't seeing that much progress in terms of muscle development, aka building my glutes. This was back in what I like to call the fit chick science years, and that means I was just following workouts that didn't have any actual real science-based evidence behind them. And the problem with this is that when you prioritize super high volume workouts over getting stronger, you hit plateaus and your progress stalls once you pass that beginner newbie gain stage. But once you shift your focus to an amount of volume that you can actually recover from, you'll see better results in your glute growth, in fat loss, and your metabolism. Plus, it's also just better for your overall health. So how much volume per week should you do for glutes? 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week is an amount of volume that most experts recommend. However, when it comes to your glutes, sometimes they can handle a little bit more volume and you could go up to 30 to 40 sets, but this would depend on a variety of factors. For example, right now, if you're working out at home and you don't have access to much equipment, you'll likely be able to handle a lot more volume than when you're working out at the gym with heavier weights. Other factors that you want to take into account are your genetics, the effort that you're putting into your workouts. If you're really putting a ton of effort in and just going all out, then you don't want to do crazy high volume. The tempo, the exercise selection, and how often you're training. It's easy to get overwhelmed and stressed when it comes to volume, but don't overthink it. A good rule of thumb is if you're gradually getting stronger and you're feeling good and you're energized, then you'll probably be fine. So before we get into the next tip, let's do a little recap on what we've learned so far. Muscle will allow you to burn more calories while maintaining your glute size. In order to grow that muscle, you've got to make sure that you're not overdoing it with volume, otherwise you won't be able to recover and your progress will stall. This leads us to the next tip. The next tip is to focus on getting a higher step count rather than doing a ton of cardio. Cardio pulls from the same recovery pool as training your glutes. So if you're doing some resistance training and then other days you're going hard on the Stairmaster, doing intense HIIT workouts, you're not going to be able to recover efficiently for your next resistance training workout. And this is gonna hold back your progress. Cardio does burn more calories than weight training, but weight training is going to maintain your muscle. Cardio is not gonna do that. And remember, if you want to be lean and keep your shape, maintaining muscle and only losing body fat is the most important. What you're gonna wanna do is get a high step count, because this is a great way to burn some more calories without interfering with your recovery. I'm a huge fan of walking, and I notice quite a difference when I'm getting a high step count versus a lower step count. And even aside from the aesthetic benefits, there's so many benefits for your mental health and your physical health, and they're important to know, but we don't have time to go over them all today. So I'm gonna be releasing a full video about how to successfully lose body weight with walking. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. How many steps a day that you want to aim for is a very individual thing. You don't need to start with crazy high numbers. Just start with adding 1,000 more than what you already do. Then you can stick to that for a little bit, get comfortable, and then add more to it, and then just work up to it over time. I used to think that 10K steps was a really big challenge to get, but because over time I just gradually changed my habits and increased my step count, now I can get 15K, and it's really easy. And that may sound crazy. I know I used to think 12,000 was crazy, but that's the benefit in just slowly ramping it up over time. To implement these tips going forward, there's a few steps that you can take. The first one is make sure that you're sticking to a workout routine for a minimum of 4 weeks so that you have time to actually improve and get stronger. The second part is never just go through the motions. You always want to be listening to your body and challenging yourself accordingly. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for next week's video where I'll be going over 12 different reasons why you might not be losing belly fat. Subscribe so you don't miss out, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye!